It's mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. Harrison Graham here answering all of your questions, so go ahead and submit them by either super chatting or by using hashtag Bears. Let's get to our first question here. Corey sells cars. Forgot to ask a question last time. That's all right, Corey. Why doesn't anyone mention Doug Pederson as head coach? I did mention him on my last Matt Nagy replacements video, my updated list. I can't remember what number I had him on, but I did have him on there. I think it was number 5. I am slowly coming to the idea of really liking the idea of someone who's been a head coach in the NFL and has had success. It's not a requirement for me, but he's a good offensive mind, and he's won a Super Bowl. I personally didn't like how things ended in Philadelphia, but those two things are undoubtedly true, and I think that he will be in the mix for some of these jobs this coaching cycle. Roseland Survivor using hashtag Bears. Do you think Nagy will get a college job after the Bears fire him? I've seen a couple people mention this. I've seen it on Twitter too. I think sarcastically so. Matt Nagy doesn't really strike me as a college coach. I don't see him hitting the recruiting trail. I think he'll be a quarterbacks coach, an offensive analyst, maybe an offensive coordinator somewhere. He could go back to Kansas City, especially if Eric Bieniemy gets a head coaching gig somewhere. We'll see, potentially Chicago. I doubt the Bears will go back down the Chiefs OC route, but you never know. I think that Nagy will be an assistant on an NFL staff somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see. Got a super chat from Sang Ray Kim. How about we steal Dan Campbell from the Lions? I can't tell if you're trolling or if you're serious. I think you're trolling. I know you've said this a couple times. Look, I get the Lions play hard and all that, but 0-10-1 is 0-10-1. I don't care how bad of a rebuild it is. You got to win some games. That's been not great for Detroit. Fire Nagy 69, elite name. Biggest free agent targets for this offseason. This is a good question. I'd have to say I'm still all in on Davante Adams. As my producer cooked that up real quick. Shout out producer Jack. He just read my mind. I think Davante Adams, if you could get him in here and team him up with Darnell Mooney, I think you could be so dynamic on offense. I think him with Mooney, with Kmet, with Montgomery and Herbert, potentially Tariq Cohen, we'll see what happens there, and the right coaching staff, you could be a loaded offense. Hopefully offensive line continues to improve, but I think Adams is a guy I would target for sure. And then there's a couple of centers that are set to be free agents, including Ryan Jensen. Got to get a center. Whether it's in the draft or in free agency, you must upgrade from Sam Mustipher. So what do you think? Should the Bears sign Davante Adams? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. We've talked about this on recent mailbags, but get your thoughts in. Y for yes, N for no. Do you want Adams to sign in Chicago in 2022? Yeah, DeMar Winwood. Oh, he said he would go for Deshaun Watson. Yeah, this is the juice I'm looking for. I would not go for Deshaun Watson, but if he gets cleared legally, then that changes things for teams. They'll certainly be more interested. I don't think the Bears would be one of those teams to get in the mix, but Justin Fields would be a strong trade chip, I think, to get Watson to Chicago. But I would focus on Fields. That's just my opinion. All right, John Mackel. Do you think the Bears should get Jim Harbaugh as their coach? If so, how would he build Justin Fields' strengths? Well, think about the work Jim Harbaugh did with Colin Kaepernick, who was a little bit raw coming out of Nevada, had to fine-tune his passing game. Fields is much more pro-ready than Kaepernick was, and he took Kaepernick to a Super Bowl, to either one or two other NFC championship games, and made him into a pretty good passer too. So I think Harbaugh could work really well. He's a winner. I was pretty lukewarm on Harbaugh coming into this year. I thought he had underachieved at Michigan, but he's finally broken through this year in a year that Michigan had no expectations. So I think this might be his best coaching job ever. But all that being said, I don't see him leaving the Wolverines. Why would he leave after he finally breaks through for his alma mater at Michigan? Sure, call him, see if you can, but I don't think it's very likely. More questions to answer, but first, we still have a lot of Bears gear on sale at chatsports.com/BearsGear. Depending on when you're watching this, enter the promo code. it could be the code Monday still. They extend their Cyber Monday deals sometimes. But if you're watching later in the week, it could be a different code. Once you go to that link, chatsports.com/BearsGear, the promo code's at the top of the screen. Just plug that in when you check out, and you can get a bunch of this gear on sale for you guys. Chatsports.com/BearsGear. That is chatsports.com/BearsGear. Pick up some brand new Chicago Bears gear today. All right, Cameron263, do you think we keep Cassius Marsh after this season? Love him as a player. Possibly. I think he'd be a good depth guy. I don't think he's a starting caliber player, but he's given this team some juice, some energy. The guys seem to like him. So, yeah, I think it's possible, but I think, again, mostly as a depth type of player. Alan Melendez, why haven't the Bears ever fired a head coach mid-season? Excuse me, case of the yawns there. Yeah, let me get some Coke Zero in me. Not a sponsor. I don't know. Maybe they feel like that's the classy thing to do. Maybe they just don't find much meaning in it. I will say now, with the new rules that you can interview coaches, I think the last 2 weeks of the regular season from other staffs, firing a coach mid-season is more attractive in a weird way, because obviously you never want to fire a coach because that means you're struggling. But if you've already decided Nagy's not coming back, then why extend it out? Why not start your search? And maybe they are behind the scenes, but is that really fair to Nagy? So I don't know. My answer ultimately is I'm not sure why they haven't, but I think that they should reconsider that notion if they've already decided that Nagy's not the guy. Lucas Prange, if the Bears get the right coach staff next year, what is your record prediction? God, if they get like a really good staff, like a staff I like, without seeing the schedule, let's assume Aaron Rodgers is still in Green Bay, they would still be behind Green Bay. But I think you could jump Minnesota in the pecking order if you get the right coaching staff. So I'll say like anywhere from 8 to 11 wins. Like I think you could win 10, 11 games with the right staff, and if Justin Fields continues to develop. Ron Pandy, do you think the Bears will trade up in the draft? If you do, it's probably going to have to involve players because you don't have a lot of draft capital to continue to trade up with just picks. You'd probably have to use players, whether that's Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Allen Robinson on a tag and trade, or someone else. I doubt they would trade a young guy like Jalen Johnson, but just thinking of guys who are valuable on your roster, I would guess no. But it's possible, and we saw last year that Ryan Pace, at least, who knows who the GM will be, but he was willing to do so. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to have videos all season long. Hit that big red button and subscribe. Continuing to grow like crazy. We've crossed 37,000 subs, trying to get to 38 as soon as possible. So go ahead and subscribe. Roosevelt Haynes, how do you feel about Rex Ryan being our new coach? I'm not really all that excited about that proposition. I saw Dan Orlovsky said Rex Ryan should be the new DC if they go in a new direction. I guess as a coordinator, that's fine. The problem with Rex Ryan now is not that he has bad analysis, but he sits there on ESPN and calls out a bunch of teams and players. Is that someone you want to hire? Like, do you want to? Yeah, he's burning bridges. A good point by producer Jack. Do you want to bring in a guy that kind of like bodies a lot of people on national television? I don't know. I feel like Rex's shine is kind of worn off at this point, and hell, he likes doing TV, so he might just keep doing that. P-How25, is Matt going to request a trade after this year? He doesn't strike me as a guy that would request a trade. Certainly it's possible, but I don't think it's very likely. Now, could he get traded just in general? Sure. Like, the Bears could certainly try to get a first-round pick and more for Khalil Mack. Benny DeBully, would you trade Jalen Johnson straight up for any of the first-round corners like Horn, Farley, Newsome, or Surtain? Oh, man. I like Jalen Johnson, man. Probably not, because I know what I have in him. Surtain's been pretty damn good in Denver. I haven't watched a ton of Farley with Tennessee. Horn was playing well before the injury. I'm not sure if he's back, by the way. Maybe he's back by now. Newsome's done some good things, but I don't know. I might go with Jalen Johnson. He's been pretty good through a year and a half. Who is your favorite, and I mean favorite, Bears player of all time? Is it Walter Payton? Is it Brian Urlacher? Devin Hester, who's up for the Hall of Fame this year? Hopefully he gets in. Who is your favorite Chicago Bears player of all time? Let's hear it. Graham Rogers, elite first name. Would you hire Justin Fields QB coach for the Bears QB coach? Like his personal quarterback's coach? No, I would not do that. That doesn't really make sense. He can keep working with Fields and they're off to the side their own time, but no, hire someone who's coaching the NFL. Jock Harrington, if both Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day are interested, who should they hire? Oh boy. I'd go Ryan Day because he knows Justin Fields. That's not a Ryan Day is a better coach than Jim Harbaugh. He might be, but I think Day knows Fields better than anybody, and that is who I want to hire. I want to hire someone who can maximize Justin Fields. Not that Harbaugh can't, but I'm pretty confident Ryan Day would do very well because he knows who Justin Fields is. So I'd have to lean Ryan Day just based on the fact he coached him for 2 years. Pixl Hound, tag and trade A-Rob for picks. Sure. I don't know if you're getting multiple picks, but if you can get like a second-round pick, I'd probably do it. Onyx, do you think this is more Ryan Pace's fault? I've been saying Pace needs to be gone since 19. He built the roster, and Nagy got stuck with it. Yeah, that's been my take for a while. Now, I've gotten to the point where I also want Nagy gone, but I've said for a long time that Ryan Pace has made too many bad decisions with roster management. He's restructured too many contracts. I mean, this team has over $30 million in dead cap next year, and a lot of those guys won't even be on the roster. Trading for Nick Foles was a bad move. Drafting Trubisky, trading up for him was stupid. The Niners were never going to draft him at number 2. He deserves credit for this last draft. Moving up for Justin Fields. I think the Tevin Jenkins pick was still probably a pretty good one. We'll see how it plays out. And he's found some hidden gems on day 3. But I think overall, salary cap construction has been poor. I think that Pace has been okay at times, but not nearly consistent enough. Jonathan Flores, does Nagy get fired if the Bears make the playoffs? Depends how they make it, right? Like, do they back in like they did last year where they beat a couple of crappy teams down the stretch and Arizona fell apart after Kyler Murray got hurt? That's different. Now, if the offense takes off the final 6 weeks, they win 5 out of 6 games, make the playoffs, and hell, win a playoff game, sure, sports are fluid. Things can change. But at this point in time, I don't see a scenario where Matt Nagy returns in 2022.